Hello, my name is Jessie Hilger. I work with the NCAA Eligibility Center, and I'm here to discuss your path to the student-athlete experience. You can submit questions during this presentation, but please note I will address those questions after the presentation is completed because I may answer some of your questions throughout the duration of the presentation. There are not many things that we can control in life, but one of the things that you do have some control of is whether or not you are eligible to participate in sports your first year at a Division I or II school. You can be the best athlete in the world, but there are certain academic requirements that you must meet in order to participate in sports at a Division I or II school your freshman year. We're going to discuss the steps that you need to take to achieve your eligibility, the requirements you have to meet in order to be eligible, your sports participation, which is also known as your amateurism, and helpful resources that will assist you in the process. Let's get started. Freshmen and sophomores. As freshmen and sophomores, you must start planning now by working hard to get the best grades possible. That will be necessary in order to become eligible to participate in sports your freshman year at a Division I or II school. It will also be necessary if you're wanting to get admitted into certain colleges or universities. One thing that you'll want to do is go onto our website, which is eligibilitycenter.org, and access your high school's list of approved core courses. We do not accept every course that you take in high school, only certain core courses. So make sure you look at that list and ensure that you are taking the appropriate courses listed on your high school's information. Your high school is responsible for updating those courses, so if you see anything that's not on the list, please work with your high school in getting that information updated. The other thing that you want to do is register with us on that same website, eligibilitycenter.org. You can register at any time, but we typically recommend that you register during your sophomore year because that's when you'll start submitting information. And if you look at the requirements and notice that you're falling behind, please feel free to use summer school to help make up any deficiencies that you may have. Here's what the page looks like where you will register on eligibilitycenter.org. In the upper right-hand corner, you will be able to start a new account, and once registered, if you forget your password, you'll be able to retrieve your password there as well. There are helpful links across the top that will assist you in the process. Juniors. As a junior, you typically start taking the SAT or ACT test. When you register to take that test, there is an area where you can enter a college 4-digit code. There, you will also want to enter the NCAA's 4-digit code of 9999. If you have already taken the test or forgot to put our code on the test, you can always contact SAT or ACT after the fact and request that they send your test scores to the NCAA using our code of 9999. Juniors, you also want to go back to that list of NCAA courses on eligibilitycenter.org, look up your high school again, and continue to ensure that you are taking courses that are listed on your high school's list of NCAA courses, because those are the only courses that we will use in your evaluation. The Eligibility Center requires 2 high school transcripts, one sent after your junior year of high school and one sent after your senior year of high school. Please note that we only accept official transcripts sent through mail or electronic transcript service like DocuFide. We cannot accept transcripts sent through fax or email. Seniors, very exciting time in your life. There are a few things that you want to do as well. Continue to take the SAT or ACT and send all of those test scores in to the NCAA. You want to make sure to send all of your test scores to the NCAA because what we will do, out of all of your test scores, we will take the highest scores and add them together to create a new super score that we will use in your evaluation. So for instance, if you take 5 SAT tests and you have all 5 sent in to us, we will take the highest reading and the highest math score out of all 5 of those tests, add those 2 numbers together, and use that number when evaluating your eligibility. So it's really to your benefit to have all of your test scores sent in to us from the SAT or ACT. As seniors, continue to access your high school's list of approved core courses on eligibilitycenter.org and ensure that you are taking the courses listed because, again, those are the only courses that we will use in your evaluation. Lastly, graduate on time in 8 semesters with your class, especially if you're going Division I and need to take any courses after you graduate to help you become eligible. Also, as seniors, please visit the My Planner page, which you will have access to after you register with us. This page allows you to see what transcripts have been received, what transcripts are missing, if we have your SAT or ACT test scores, and allows you to check your status and eventually see whether or not you meet the eligibility requirements. Another note on transcripts: if you attend multiple high schools throughout your high school career, a separate transcript needs to be sent from each high school you attend. The other thing you want to do as a senior is review your sports participation responses. The My Sports section is an amateur questionnaire that asks you about sports participation outside of high school since the age of 14. Please review that information and update it as necessary. In April of your senior year, we will contact you through email and prompt you to finalize your amateur questionnaire. Basically, what you're doing is just ensuring that all of your information is accurate and giving us permission to go ahead and review your My Sports questionnaire. Finally, after you graduate from high schools, please have your high school guidance counselor send us a transcript of all 4 years of high school with the date of graduation on the transcript. Again, those transcripts cannot be faxed or mailed. They must be sent through the mail or through an acceptable electronic transcript service. Let's get into the requirements you must meet to become eligible. We talked about the list of NCAA courses that's available on eligibilitycenter.org, but what is a core course? There are several requirements. A core course is a course that qualifies for high school graduation credit in one of the following subject areas: either English, math, science, social studies, foreign language, comparative religion, which is like religious studies or world religion, or philosophy. Your courses also must be 4-year college preparatory courses to prepare you for an education at a 4-year university. Your courses must be taught at the high school's regular academic level or higher. For math, your courses must be at the level of Algebra 1 or higher, so no pre-algebra courses. And the courses must be taught by a qualified instructor. You may be familiar with non-traditional courses. Students can sometimes take non-traditional courses to help them become eligible to meet the NCAA requirements. What exactly is a non-traditional course? They take many forms. They can be courses taught through the internet, whether online or virtual courses, distance learning, independent study, individualized instruction, correspondence, computer software programs, also commonly known as credit recovery programs, or other similar means. We'll talk about other requirements that non-traditional courses have to meet in a moment. When you take non-traditional courses, the NCAA cannot accept every non-traditional course. The types of non-traditional courses that we can accept must have ongoing access between the instructor and the student, must have a defined time period for completion. So, for instance, online programs that allow you to complete a course in just a couple of days or a week or so would not be acceptable. The online program must require you to complete the course in no less than a minimum time. So, for instance, an online program may say that you cannot complete a course in any less than 6 weeks. You have to do 6 weeks or longer to complete that course. Something like that may be acceptable. The non-traditional courses should be clearly identified as non-traditional courses on your high school transcript, and they still must be 4-year college preparatory and need to be comparable in length, content, and rigor to courses taught in a traditional classroom setting. Just like you can look up your high school's list of NCAA courses on eligibilitycenter.org, you can also see whether or not an online program is approved through the NCAA. You go to the same website, eligibilitycenter.org, and under Resources, you go to List of NCAA Courses, and there you can type in the non-traditional school's name. If you're also looking for a non-traditional school in your area, you can type in online for the high school and choose your state, and it will give you a list of online programs within your state. You can look at those programs and see whether or not they are approved, and if they are approved, you can see which courses are acceptable for use. As I mentioned, for seniors, it is important to graduate on time in 8 semesters. And for Division I, that is essential if you're needing to take courses after you graduate from high school to become eligible for the NCAA. So for Division I, from the time you enter the 9th grade, you have 4 years, or 8 semesters, to complete your core course requirements. If you fail to complete high school on time, graduating with your class after 8 semesters, core courses taken after you graduate will not be counted towards your NCAA academic requirements. What does on time mean? On-time graduation also means that if your high school graduation takes place on June 1st, you must graduate on June 1st in order to take any courses after you graduate to help you become eligible for sports your first year at a Division I or II school. If you do not graduate on June 1st with the rest of your high school class, if that's when your high school graduates, you have not completed the requirements on time and therefore cannot take any courses after you graduate to help you become eligible. Division II is very different. For Division II, you do not have to graduate on time, and we can consider looking at all core courses you take prior to full-time enrollment at any college or university. So what that means for Division II is if you go 5 years of high school, we will look at all of those courses to see if you can become eligible for a Division II college or university. In comparison, for Division I, if you go 5 years of high school, we can only accept the first 4 years of high school and nothing after that 4th year of high school towards your eligibility requirements. So for Division I, make sure you graduate on time if you need to take additional coursework after you graduate to help you become eligible. So what exactly are the eligibility requirements? Well, basically the requirements are to graduate from high school, complete your NCAA approved courses, earn a minimum required grade point average and GPA, and test score. We do 2 evaluations. That's why it's important to have 2 transcripts sent in to us. We try to do an evaluation during your senior year based on your freshman through junior year coursework. Then we also do an evaluation after you graduate once we receive your final transcript. And at that time, we can determine if you are eligible. However, there is a process called early academic certification. So when we perform an evaluation your senior year, based on your freshman through junior year coursework, if you're a good student and meet certain core courses, you can be eligible during your senior year, so that all you have to worry about is sending in your final transcript. So what are the requirements to be an early academic qualifier? Freshman through junior year, for Division I, you must meet the following requirements. You must have a minimum SAT, math, and critical reading of 900, or a minimum sum score of a 75 on the ACT. Why is that ACT number so high? It's because we take the 4 main components of the test, English, reading, math, and science, and add those 4 numbers together to create a new super score. You also have to earn a required core course GPA of 3.0 or higher in the 14 core courses listed below. 3 English, 2 math, 2 science, 2 additional courses in English, math, or science above and beyond the ones just listed, and then 5 additional core courses in any area, like social studies or foreign language, additional science, math, or English courses. Now for Division II, the requirements to be an early academic qualifier are a little bit different. For Division II, you need a minimum SAT, math and critical reading only, of 1,000, or a minimum sum score on the ACT of an 85. You also need a core course GPA of 3.0 or higher and a minimum of 12 core courses. And those courses are 3 English, 2 math, 2 science, and 5 additional courses in any area. Again, something like social studies or foreign language, additional courses in science or math or English, something like that. You may be asking yourself why the writing portion of the SAT and ACT is not acceptable. The writing portion of the SAT and ACT is not acceptable for the NCAA, although it probably is acceptable for your college admissions, but we don't accept it because we only accept the main components of the test. For Division I, there are certain requirements that you must meet after you graduate from high school. So if you're not an early academic qualifier during your senior year, then the next time we'll determine if you're eligible is after you graduate from high school and we receive your final transcript with proof of graduation. And at that time, we will look to see if you have 4 years of English, 3 years of math, algebra 1 or higher, 2 years of science, 1 additional year above and beyond what was just listed of English, math, or science, 2 years of social studies, and 4 years of additional courses from any of the area above, so from English, math, science, social studies, or foreign language, comparative religion, which is like world religion, or philosophy. And when we say 4 years of a course, that means 4 credits, or 3 credits, or 2 credits. Now, Division I operates on a sliding scale. So out of the 16 core courses we can use in your evaluation, you have to have a GPA and a test score that meets the numbers on the sliding scale. So for instance, let's say you earn a 900 on your SAT, and remember, that's adding the critical reading and the math components only. If you receive a 900 on the SAT, then you need to have a minimum of a 2.3 core GPA in your 16 core courses. If you have anything less than that, then you do not meet the requirements and are deemed ineligible and cannot participate in sports your first year at a Division I or II school. You'll notice on the sliding scale that the higher your SAT or ACT score, the lower the required GPA. So if you have a 1010 on the SAT, you need to have a minimum of a 2.0 core GPA in your 16 core courses. Whereas if you have a 400 on the SAT, total, critical reading and math, you need a 3.55 or higher. So make sure you access this list at eligibilitycenter.org and ensure the GPA and SAT or ACT test score you have matches this scale. What we just looked at was for students who are current juniors and seniors. For those of you graduating in 2016 or beyond, so the current sophomores and freshmen or middle school students, there will be new requirements that you have to meet for Division I. Let's take a look at what those requirements are. So a summary of the changes. On the previous sliding scale, you see that the current juniors and seniors must have a minimum of a 2.0 core GPA. For students who are enrolling at a Division I school in 2016, so the sophomores and the freshmen, you must have a minimum of a 2.3 in order to compete. There's also a very small change. There's also a very small change in the sliding scale index. Another difference for the students enrolling in 2016 at a Division I school is that you're required to have 10 core courses locked in by the start of your senior year. We'll go through the breakdown of those courses. The other thing that's different for the students enrolling at a Division I school in 2016 are there's 3 different ways that you can become eligible or not eligible. There is the full qualifier, which means you have all 16 core courses, 10 of them locked in by the time you're a senior, and you meet the appropriate sliding scale with at least a 2.3 core GPA. If you don't meet all those requirements, the next thing you can become is an academic redshirt your freshman year at a Division I school. What that means is you can get athletics aid, so scholarship, your first year, and practice for the first semester. Your college will determine if you can practice the second semester based on your first semester college grades and credits. And then if you don't meet any of the requirements, you would become a non-qualifier, which means that you cannot receive athletic scholarship, you cannot practice, and you cannot compete for the first year in college. Please note, there are some Division I schools out there that have a rule that if you're a non-qualifier when you enter their school, you can never participate for sports at their school. So make sure you try to meet the requirements. You'll see for the 2016 Division I enrollees, the breakdown of the 16 core courses are still the same. You still need 4 credits in English, 3 credits in math, algebra 1 or higher, 2 years of science, 1 additional year above and beyond what's listed of English, math, or science, 2 years of social studies, 4 years of additional courses from English, math, science, social studies, foreign language, comparative religion, or philosophy. And remember, again, we will only use those courses that are present on your high school's list of NCAA courses, which you can access on eligibilitycenter.org. And then to compete in those 16 core courses, you need a minimum GPA of a 2.3. As I mentioned, another thing that will be changing for students enrolling at a Division I school in 2016 is the sliding scale requirements. There is a slight increase in the GPA that you need according to your test score. Let's take a look at what that looks like. You'll see on the old scale, for instance, that within 1,000 SAT, you need a 2.025, so that's for the current juniors and seniors. On the new scale, for the students enrolling in 2016 at a Division I school, if you have 1,000 on your SAT, you need a 2.05. So it's a very small increase, just 0.025 increase on the GPA you need according to that test score. I mentioned for students enrolling in 2016 at a Division I school that you need 10 core courses locked in by the time you start your senior year. What does that mean? What that means is before your senior year, you need to have 10 core courses off of your high school's list of approved core courses completed by the time you start your senior year. Out of those 10 core courses, 7 must be in English, math, or science. And when we do an evaluation during your senior year, a preliminary evaluation of freshman through junior year courses, those 10 core courses will be locked in, and you cannot take extra courses your senior year to try to make up any deficiencies or boost your GPA in those 10 core courses that are locked in. So what that means for you, students enrolling in 2016 at a Division I school, make sure your first 3 years of high school you're earning good grades and the right credits to have those 10 core courses locked in so you can be fully eligible to compete your freshman year at a Division I school. Now, what happens if you don't meet all of those requirements? You can become an academic redshirt. You still have to meet the same 16 core course requirements, but instead of getting a minimum GPA in those 16 core courses of a 2.3, instead you can get 2.299 or lower. You still have to have the required SAT or ACT score that corresponds with that GPA, though. The other way you become an academic redshirt is if by the time you start your senior year, you do not have 10 core courses locked in, or you do not have 7 of the 10 in English, math, or science. It doesn't matter if you have 16 core courses when you graduate, or if you have a great GPA. If you do not have those 10 core courses locked in, 7 in English, math, or science by the start of your senior year, then the best you can become is an academic redshirt, where you can receive athletic scholarship your first year at a Division I school and practice for the first semester. Remember, your college will determine if you can participate your second semester at the Division I school based on your freshman grades and credits. The other thing with an academic redshirt, if you graduate on time in 8 semesters, you can take 1 additional course after you graduate to help you become eligible in meeting the 16 core courses so that you can practice your first semester and receive an athletic scholarship. Here's an example of the sliding scale for students who meet the academic redshirt, so athletic scholarship and practice only. You'll see if you have a 2.3, you need at least a 900 on the SAT. Having those 2 numbers or higher in your 16 core courses will allow you to compete your freshman year at a Division I school as long as you have the 10 core courses locked in. But if you have anything below that, if you have, say, a 2.2 and a 940 on your SAT, even if you have your 16 core courses and 10 of them are locked in by your senior year, you still cannot compete your freshman year unless you have at least that 2.3. And again, what is an academic redshirt? Because this is completely new for Division I. If you were deemed an academic redshirt and enrolling into Division I school fall 2016 or later, you can receive athletic scholarship and you can practice your first semester at a Division I school. And then your Division I school will determine if you can practice the second semester based on your first semester grades and credits at that school. And then you may be able to compete your second year at the Division I school based on your freshman grades and credits. So what happens if you don't meet the academic redshirt requirements and you don't meet the full qualifier requirements? Then you are a non-qualifier. And as a non-qualifier, you cannot receive athletics aid during the first year at a Division I school, and you cannot practice or compete during that first year. And then remember, as I mentioned, there are some Division I schools out there where if you're a non-qualifier and you enter their school, you can never participate for athletics at that school. So it's really important to try to get the best grades possible. Division II also has 16 core course requirements, but the breakdown is a little bit different. You need 3 years in English, 2 years in math, algebra 1 or higher, 2 years in science, 3 additional years of English, math, or science above and beyond what was just listed, 2 years of social studies, and then 4 years in additional courses. Division II is also different because they do not have a sliding scale. Division II just has set minimum requirements on GPA or test score. In your 16 core courses, you must have a minimum of a 2.0 core GPA or better, and you also need an SAT score of an 820, again that's critical reading and math only, or an ACT sum score of a 68. Remember, when you take the SAT or ACT test, be sure to enter our code of, what is it? 9999. And if you forget to enter the code when you're taking the test, feel free to contact SAT or ACT after the fact and still request them to send your test scores to 9999. And remember, it's best to have all of your test scores sent in so we can create the best score possible for you. Let's take a look at what that looks like. So for instance, if you have 2 SAT test scores sent in to us, you'll see that we will take the higher math and the higher verbal score. So on the first test, we would take the verbal score of 470, and on the second test, take the math score of 420, add those two numbers together to create an 890. And the 890 is what we will use in your evaluation to determine if you're eligible. What about Division III? Well, Division III is a little bit different because unlike Division I and II, there are no set requirements for Division III schools. Eligibility for admission, financial aid, practice, and competition is determined by the Division III college or university. We do not perform evaluations for students going to a Division III school, so you do not have to worry about registering with us on eligibilitycenter.org. Please talk to your Division III school that you're wanting to attend for more information. Amateurism, which is your sports participation questionnaire that you will fill out when you register. We encourage you to update your sports participation information as often as necessary. We will ask you to report information about sports participation outside of high school since the age of 14. You will have to make sure that all the information is accurate before finalizing your information before you enroll into a Division I or II school. If you ever have any questions about whether an activity will hurt your eligibility, please feel free to call the Eligibility Center and we'd be more than happy to help. So remember, student athletes who meet all of the initial eligibility requirements may practice, compete, and receive athletics financial aid your first year at a Division I or II school. We have tons of resources available on eligibilitycenter.org to help you through the process. Please feel free to go to that page and access the Resources tab for more information. And again, if you need us at any time, please feel free to call us. I'll take some questions now. Here's a question. Do you think it is a good idea to contact the school coaches through email, or is that a bad idea? I think that's a great idea and a great question. You can contact the coaches through email at any time, and they will respond when they can. You can also call them, but remember that they cannot contact you back during certain times. We do have that information available through the College Bound Student Athlete Guide on our website, eligibilitycenter.org, under the resources page. It tells you by grade level when the coach can and cannot contact you. But yes, I definitely think that's a great idea to contact the coaches through email if you're interested in participating in sports at their school. Here's another good question. What if you are an international student? What are the requirements you have to meet? You still have to meet the same requirements we went through during this presentation. However, we have an international staff that can help you to determine exactly which courses we can use in your evaluation. We also have an international students guide available on eligibilitycenter.org to help answer your questions and help you determine which courses we will use from the country you're from. Another question is repeating grades. Let's say you repeat the 9th grade twice. Will that hurt you? Well, for Division I, as we mentioned, you need 4 years of English. And if you repeat the 9th grade, you'll probably take English 9 again, and we can only use English 9 one time. So if you do repeat a grade, you want to make sure that you're meeting all of the requirements before the end of the 8th semester for Division I. But remember, for Division II, we'll look at all coursework you complete prior to full-time enrollment at the Division II school, so it may not be as big of a deal for Division II. Another question is concerning scholarships. Is there a minimum amount of scholarship money that each division must give you? Well, each division school and each individual school decides how much scholarship, if any, they want to give each student athlete, and the amount they give is up to the school as well. So if you have further questions about scholarships, please contact your Division I or II school that you're interested in, and they can give you more information on that. Another question concerns non-traditional courses and what additional requirements the courses need. The main thing that I can recommend to you about non-traditional courses is making sure the program that you're wanting to take courses through is approved through the NCAA. And remember, if you go to eligibilitycenter.org, on the resources tab, there's a link to list of NCAA courses. There you can look up online programs, and it will tell you right there whether or not the program is approved. And then if it is approved, it will give you a list of courses that we can use in your evaluation. If you have additional courses about non-traditional coursework, you may want to talk with your high school guidance counselor or call us at the number listed on the screen. Another great question is, can elective courses be considered as core courses? For example, engineering. That's a very common question we get. We can only accept courses that receive graduation credit in English, math, science, social studies, foreign language, comparative religion, or philosophy. So courses like engineering or business or marketing, fine arts, PE, health, we do not accept as a part of your GPA. And if you look at your high school's list of approved core courses on eligibilitycenter.org, it will show you which core courses in each subject area we can accept. A good question is, why do some schools have approved course titles on their core course list and others get denied? Some courses do get denied if they do not meet the requirements that were listed during this presentation. Other reason why courses may get denied is if they're in elective subject areas. If you pull up a high school and there's no courses listed through them, it may be because they haven't gone through the process with the NCAA Eligibility Center, and that high school would need to contact us to initiate the process of getting their courses approved. Another question are, what are the academic redshirt requirements for Division I schools for this past fall? Well, The academic red shirt doesn't become effective until students enroll at a Division I school in the fall of 2016. For current juniors and seniors and students who have already graduated and are in a Division I school, there is no academic red shirt. A Division I school may call you a red shirt your freshman year right now if you're injured and have to sit out the freshman year, but it's not a technical term through the NCAA. The technical term of academic red shirt for the NCAA only becomes effective when you enroll in the fall of 2016 at a Division I school. Another question is, can the international staff help before the student is graduated so you can become proactive? Absolutely. We highly recommend either domestic or international students be proactive in determining whether or not they'll become eligible. So please feel free to contact that staff at any time. Or, as I mentioned, access the resources that are available on our website in case you cannot reach that staff. Oh, great question. What is the cost to register for the NCAA? If you are a domestic student and have done all of your coursework in the United States, it is a one-time $70 fee. If you have done any coursework outside of the United States, it is a one-time $120 fee. And as I mentioned, it is a one-time fee. It's not something you have to pay year from year. Does the high school need to accept the extra course that a student might take for qualifying to the high school transcript for it to count for the Eligibility Center? I think what's being asked here is if a student takes a course outside of the high school through, say, an online program, does it have to go back on the home high school transcript? Yes, it does. And not only does it have to go back on the home high school transcript with grade and credit, but we will also need a separate transcript or grade report from the online agency where the student takes the course. I have a question about the NCAA fee waiver policy. Thank you for bringing that up. When you register and get to the payment section, you can pay by credit card or e-check online, or you may be eligible for a fee waiver, which waives your eligibility fee. And what that means is if you are eligible for an SAT or ACT registration fee waiver, you can also be eligible for the NCAA Eligibility Center fee waiver. There is a box that you can check on the payment page that directs you to your high school guidance counselor. Your high school has an account with us online where they can log in and attest to the fact that you are eligible for an SAT or ACT fee waiver. You need not have already received the fee waiver through SAT or ACT in order to receive one through the NCAA Eligibility Center. You simply must be eligible for that SAT or ACT fee waiver. I'll take one more question here. What if a student takes a course online or in credit recovery to meet a requirement and the high school will not put it on their transcript because they passed the lower level course already? We do see that every year. If a student takes an online or credit recovery course during high school, it must appear on the transcript with grade and credit. If it is not on the transcript with grade and credit, then we cannot consider it during the student's evaluation. But if the first course that the student received a lower grade in is on the transcript, we will consider using that course as long as it's a passing grade. On that note, we don't accept pluses and minuses, and we accept the high school's lowest passing grade. The last thing I want to mention is for guidance counselors that are watching, we also have a website for guidance counselors that has a lot of helpful resources. You'll go to our same website, which is eligibilitycenter.org, and on the high school administrator section, you'll click there, and there is a resources page that gives you lots of helpful information. You can also find the high school dedicated line there and call our high school team to talk with them about further questions. The last thing I'll mention about grades, though, is pass-fail grades. I know some high schools give pass-fail grades. If we see a transcript that has a pass grade on it, we will award the high school's lowest passing grade, which is usually a D. For students that have additional questions, please feel free to go to eligibilitycenter.org. On our resources page, we have information about recruiting, We have helpful Division I and II worksheets where you can configure your core course GPA. If you want to know whether or not the college you're wanting to attend is Division I or II and whether or not they offer your sports, there is a sports heading on that website that you can go to and look up your school to see if they're Division I or II. We really appreciate you joining into this presentation and wish you the best of luck on your path to becoming a student athlete. Thank you.